So I want to stress again, memory is volatile. Assume it's lost on shutdown. You need to weigh the kind of the cost benefits when you're doing a memory collection. And kind of the disk first. Do I do disk first? Do I do memory first? That's something that you need to determine based on your investigation. But I want to make sure that volatile data is kind of stressed, right? That you're aware of that. So then I'm going to somewhat skirt away from memory for a second. And we're going to talk about the volatile system information. That's what I refer to it as. There's probably a better term that's out there, but this is the things like netstat, task list, IP config, whatever. It's like the things you would typically run as part of like a scripted incident response, or that you're going to be running at the command line and basically piping that data out, similar to what we did yesterday. For the sake of this discussion, it's the volatile data that isn't memory, right? And this is really the benefit of this, is the way that I see it, is that it does give you a lot of system information that is in a nice kind of easy to read form and things like that, but it's also good for comparison purposes, right? That we can use this to compare back to our memory image to kind of see where differences occur. Because if differences occur, that's noteworthy, right? And those are things that we may want to pursue for more detailed analysis. It's going to give you kind of some cursory information, but it's going to give you some things like user sessions. It's going to tie processes to user, which can be a little bit more difficult in memory analysis. Obviously, you can do it, right? I'm not saying you can't, but it's a little bit easier in this standpoint, just because it's already scripted and in there. So like I said, it really is a complement to memory analysis, not a replacement for. So memory isn't a replacement for volatile system information, and volatile system information isn't a replacement for memory, right? They complement each other. So it's important that you have both as part of your investigation. So now, can you guys see that kind of okay? It's a little small here on the right. But what I want to point out is this is just kind of a interactive session here, I guess, or whatever, is you have a task list output. This is from a Windows XP Service Pack 3 x86 system. And what I want you to get is, just by looking at this, what can we learn from this output?
There's a lot running.
There is a lot running, but a lot of it is regular system stuff that you're going to see, like service host, services.exe, CSR, SS, SMSS. There's VMware tool stuff. I ran this in a VM, right? So ignore that. But based on that, what else can we see?
RDP connection.
RDP is certainly noteworthy, right? The one thing, too, is that if you look at the actual output, we have RDP and then we have console. Does anyone know what console means in this context?
System. Is it like at the physical host?
It's at the physical host is basically what it is, right? As opposed to an RDP connection, which is a remote connection. So one thing I want to point out is that this shows that there are two connections to the system, right? There's the one that's on, like the local, somebody at the actual console on the actual system, and then you have something that is identifying it as a RDP connection. The thing I want to point out here, and this is maybe something that you don't know, but you'll know now, is that it's also important to know what the operating system is. This is Windows XP, right? Windows XP is not a server platform, correct? It's like a desktop platform, right? Desktop platforms in Windows don't allow for concurrent connections by default, right? Windows 2003 Server does. Windows 2008, they allow for concurrent connections. That's what their server operating system. But the desktop platforms do not. Right? And this is an important thing that if you were looking at this, you may not immediately kind of become aware of, but it's important to note the kind of the two sessions that exist there, because this is indicative of, not only, this RDP connection, you may go, oh, well, yeah, we have RDP enabled on this system. But the fact that you have two connections on the system at the same time, now that is noteworthy, because this is indicative that some sort of modification has been made to the system to allow for that to occur. Right? That is not the default configuration. Now, maybe it was the IT staff that did it, right? But that's something that is certainly you want to follow up on.